Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another Monday, which means we're taking a look at the MapleStory subreddit over the last week and the good old classic microwave triple M. Unsurprisingly, though, this week is probably just going to be focused on majority the Inkwell notes, because the Inkwell note has some pretty big things in it. I did briefly touch on the Inkwell note. Sorry, let me go to past a week. I did briefly touch on the Inkwell note when I made my last MapleStory video at the end of it. Where the fuck is the Inkwell note? Like, why is it so difficult to find? Like, okay, where's the link here? It's so, nope, this is the video. Oh my god, that blew my ears out. Where the fuck is the link to the note? Holy shit, why is it so hard to find? Link to the note, it was right above it. I'm a fucking moron. But to be fair, this shit don't look like a clickable link. I'm gonna be real with you. But I guess that's old Reddit and RES for you. Anyways, my inabilities to navigate the internet aside, Inkwell's note. TLDR is, it's the 20th anniversary for GMS, which is big, obviously, and, well, it'll be the 20th anniversary when the next patch comes out, basically. The next patch is going to be the 20th anniversary patch. It usually happens around May, because that's when the anniversary happens. Crazy how that works, huh? But basically, that's sort of the theme around this Inkwell note. 20th anniversary stuff. Hello, Maplers of Global MapleStory. This is Inkwell. I'm not going to try to pronounce that because I am whiter than the color white. And I would just butcher this man's name. Hanbyol? Hanbyol? I don't fucking know, dude, I'm white. Forgive me. I was born into ignorance. I don't try to be ignorant. Oh. Alright, shut up. Read the Inkwell note, bro. Basically, TLDR, I'm not reading this whole thing, because one, I don't know how to read, two, reading is hard. Basically, they added auto-harvest in the last patch. They still haven't fixed it, so basically, if you don't collect your auto-harvest before reset time, you just get nothing, except for the harvest coins, which is like, meh. They do need to buff auto-harvesting, and they also definitely need to fix auto-harvesting. But hopefully they fix it at some point. And they're just talking about the two GMS exclusive features, which is auto harvest and the community market. The community market is fucking sick. I don't know how people are upset about it. Like, yeah, the scissors cost an X, and then they also get a Steam cut twice. But I can spend like $30 to get the full set of any set that is new currently in rotation on an SSB, whereas before I could spend $30 and get maybe one piece of the set. Maybe. It's just, it's a good change, man. The community market, the Steam integration, fire. I'm not going to watch the anniversary video, that already blew our ears out, but inside the video, there is, here, let's just, I'll do this. I'm not going to watch it all, but this. Classic World announcement. This is the big thing, right? If it wants to load. Hello? Brother, I know my internet is fine. Why do embeds always do this for me? Yes, there we go. An error has occurred. Alright, we'll do it like this. Jesus Christ. It'll blow my ears out, I'll mute it, then we'll unmute it. We'll go here. But basically, Classic World got announced. And this is like an official Classic World, right? Which is very divisive for some strange reason, though it's divisive in pretty much every games community that has ever had a classic server. So it doesn't surprise me that much. But we don't know a lot of things aside from the thing that I just flashed on the screen here. Classic World is a faithful recreation of the early MapleStory experience. So that's the only information that we really know, is faithful recreation. What faithful means in context, we don't know. So a lot of people are speculating on what that could mean. I will talk about the Classic World more at the end of this note. I think I'm just going to start doing dailies and talk about the Classic stuff, because I have a lot of opinions and stuff on Classic. But basically, if you don't want to wait until then, the TLDR, in my opinion, for Classic is, I think overall, a classic version of a game is still that game. And I don't understand the community split in the way in which these communities tend to split, in which it ends up being us versus them. I hate that stupid shit. I've seen it happen twice in games that I play. I've seen it happen with WoW. I've seen it happen with RuneScape. I fucking maxed on RuneScape 3. I have a very close to max old school account. Well, not anymore. I was on pace to being maxed on old school, but I'm probably like 80% of the way to max on old school. I don't have a max RS3 account anymore either because of archaeology, and I never came back to do that. But my point is, I've extensively played both of those games. For WoW, I had absolutely no interest in playing Classic WoW, even when they started doing expansions, Classic expansions. But I still never shit on people for liking Classic WoW. I would meme on my friends for playing it, because it was a fucking... I mean, their friends are friends, but at the end of the day, I don't understand people who see a classic version of a game and then dig in their heels and go, nope, this is shit. And I also don't understand the people who come to play these classic versions, or don't even come to play the classic versions, but they come out of the woodworks when the classic version gets announced, and then they say how shit the current game is, when you haven't played the current game in the last 15 years. You're allowed to not like the current game, but let's not pretend that you've played it in the last 10, 15 years. I don't know. I think too many people use energy on being angry over nothing in general, and I just don't understand it. But the TLDR is, let people like what they like, and I think classic servers are fine. Do I personally think that classic servers will be super populated? Absolutely not. Like, unless they do the old school route, which we don't know, and the only word we can go off of is in the video they said faithful recreation of classic MapleStory. And if it's a faithful recreation of classic MapleStory, that shit's gonna suck. Long term, I mean. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of fun playing the game when it first comes out and stuff, but if we're talking from a longevity standpoint, there is a reason MapleStory changed, right? It's not just because the game wanted to change. It needed to change, or it would not have existed. You can see this with a lot of old games that just don't adapt over time. But that's, again, my opinion. And we don't know exactly the route they're going to take for Classic MapleStory, again, until they give more information about it. But all we have to go off of right now is faithful recreation of Classic MapleStory. So, take that for what you will. Oh, and another thing I did want to point out before we go on to the rest of this is the people who are like, oh, I want to play Classic because there's no pay-to-win in Classic. As somebody who has played MapleStory since literally MapleStory has launched, obviously I haven't been playing for fucking 20 years straight. That would be insane. I've taken many breaks here and there, but I have played that era of MapleStory. I played it extensively. Something you have to keep in mind is there were no 2x cards, consumable items that we're familiar with, and a lot of people seem to forget the fact that the only way to get 2x cards aside from events were through the cash shop. Cash shop had 2x XP and 2x drop, and then eventually it transitioned into a gachapon based system, right? You get things from gacha. You get your Dark Scrolls, you get your fucking Pink Adventurer capes, you get your raccoon masks, you get your tree branch noses, all from gacha. How do you get gachapon? NX. It's just a different sort of pay-to-win. And again, if they're going with faithful recreation, I would expect these things to be in the game. But again, we don't know. It's all speculation, all speculative. I will talk more about Classic. I talked about Classic way more than I wanted to, but I'll talk about it. I'll yap while I do dailies in a bit. Boss power crystals. Basically, KMS got power crystal changes. I think they halved the amount you can sell, and obviously they have dynamic crystal scaling, but they're just saying GMS probably isn't going to get that, essentially, is what I read this as. Because we didn't get it last time, I don't think we're going to get it now. Another big thing that they mentioned is the Star Force system. We're aware that there are active discussions on the recent changes made to the Korean MapleStory Star Force system and what GMS's direction will look like. We're closely monitoring the changes and considering what additional measures and response plans may be necessary if they are introduced in GMS. The big thing here that I'm about to read, we recognize that it's difficult to acquire high-level equipment not just in Heroic Worlds, but in interactive worlds too. With the changes to the Star Force enhancement system, it becomes even more necessary to think about the ways that equipment can be obtained and finding supplementary methods to smooth out the ability transfer of destroyed equipment traces. We will provide an update in the second half of the year. So, I think this is big because this is the first time that they've mentioned that dupes are a problem, and they also mention that it's a problem system-wide, not just worldwide, which is very cool. So this means they're looking at it, which is fucking huge. Star Force is miserable, basically, is all I can say. Something that I've always been pitching as, like, a band-aid fix is just, like, if an item booms at a certain star level, make the trace back to the star level that it boomed at, right? There's arguments for it, there's arguments against it. I don't think it would fix the system, but I think it would be a lot better of a system than we currently have, especially in regards to, like, pitched items. And the soft cap would still exist in the same way that it does, because, I mean, a 3% chance to get to 23 stars is a 3% chance to get to 23 stars, right? You just wouldn't have to go through 0 to 22 to get to the chance at 23 again. So it would be an interesting way, in my mind, to, over a long period of time, like, let's say you're playing your character, you're doing X Lotus, you have a lot more Berserk drops now than you've ever seen before, because Berserk drops at a higher chance from X Lotus. But your Berserk has been 22 stars for 5 years. So what are you going to do? Save up a bunch of Berserk and then try to 23 star a new Berserk and lose your old Berserk? That just seems weird to me. If they did the trace thing, you'd be able to slowly tap items as you get them, right? It wouldn't be perfect, don't get me wrong, but I think it would be a lot better than what we currently have, and that's why I said it was a band-aid fix, nothing more. But I am very interested to see what they decide to do in terms of this, if anything. And then they just talk about quality of life improvements, ease the stability of basic gameplay, or just important new content. We're collecting feedback, blah, blah, blah. We plan to prioritize the development of currently planned features. I ask for your understanding that it would be difficult to improve everything at once. Yes, we're not asking you to wait too long. We plan to make noticeable improvements for Maple starting this winter at the latest. Overall, pretty cool. And then obviously the gift is insane. You get like fucking 400 fragments for free. 30 reroll cards that give you nothing, some VIP boosters or fire, the good shit, basically. And then this is just like closing notes. Inkwell has been the GMS guy for about a year now, which is, yeah, I mean, considering they didn't really have a team or anything going on for the last year, I would say the game has gotten better, for sure. GMS specifically. I have no reason to doubt this man until he gives me a reason to doubt him, right? That's sort of the mentality that I've been taking. But further on, if you don't want to listen to yapping about classic servers, I've already done a lot of yapping in classic servers, but I'm going to do a little bit more yapping on classic servers, and I'm going to talk about like my plans going forward with classic servers specifically. You can just, the video's over, basically. Is there mods here? Yeah, is there mods here? Is there mobs here? There is mobs here. But I'm just going to be doing dailies while I yap. So if you want to stick around for that, cool. If you don't, no worries. But basically, classic servers, right? So what are my personal opinions on classic servers, aside from the opinions that I stated, which are like, I think overall it's a good thing, and I don't understand people who are like, I hate classic. I don't know. I think, like I said, I think the core of my argument is that whether it's classic MapleStory or modern MapleStory, MapleStory is MapleStory, right? The core of the game is still there. The bare bones base level of the game. It exists, right? I just... The thing that I dislike with every classic server that comes out is, again, like I said, the community divide and the us versus them mentality. I think in general in the world, there's too much of an us versus them mentality rather than just a collective us. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's on the same team. At least you'd like to believe that. But the way people talk about it is if you have a differing opinion than that of themselves, you are against them. And if you're against them, that means you must be defeated. You are the enemy. And, I mean, this mentality is crazy. Especially in gaming communities, because it seems like gaming communities take this shit to the next level. If you don't do things how I do them, or you think differently to how I think in a video game, you are wrong and I must kill you. That shit's crazy. Do I think, like I said, do I think classic servers are going to be long-lived, longevity-based, like content? Probably not. Especially if they, again, we don't know what they're going to do, right? If they do the old school RuneScape approach, I think it could be very, very good, right? It could be, absolutely. But again, all I have to go off of is in the video where they said faithful recreation. If it is a faithful recreation to classic MapleStory, I don't see the game being more than just like a novelty. And people can point to like World of Warcraft Classic as being like, oh, well, they didn't do anything and the game is still alive. And it's like, not really. Classic WoW is not doing very well. And it hasn't really done very well past like the very initial launch of it. Because, again, I think a lot of people see the problems with Classic WoW. And don't get me wrong, Classic WoW is probably doing very well comparatively to different games, but you have to look at Classic WoW versus, like, Retail WoW, right? Like, the number comparison, right? You can't compare Classic WoW to a different genre completely, right? Because the people... There is obviously overlap between, like, one game, like, Game 1 and Game 2, but you can't look at it like that, right? I think you have to compare it to the retail version of whatever game is being classified, I guess. Hopefully that makes sense. So, like, obviously Classic WoW is doing well in terms of, like, a regular video game, but if you look at it in terms of World of Warcraft numbers, it's not the greatest. That's my point. And it's like, you could say the exact same thing about, like, Classic RuneScape. Not Classic RuneScape, excuse me. Old school RuneScape and, like, RuneScape 3. Like, if you look at it in terms of, like, just purely based on numbers, like, both of those games aren't doing very well. But if you look at it in terms of RuneScape numbers, obviously old school RuneScape is doing significantly better than RuneScape 3, and it has been for a very long time, just in terms of numbers. But, like, that's what I'm saying. You can't compare, like, RuneScape's numbers to WoW's numbers. It's just not how it works. You have to compare RuneScape's numbers to RuneScape's numbers. You have to compare WoW's numbers to WoW's numbers. Type shit. So my point is, I don't think you can look at, like, old school RuneScape or Classic WoW and be like, well, look, that means Classic MapleStory do good too. And it's like, no, that's not how it works, right? Maybe I'm crazy for saying that, but I don't think so. I think that's a pretty, like, tame opinion to have. And again, I do think, even if they don't do anything to Classic MapleStory, I do think there will be a diehard sect of players that will play the shit out of it. Of course I do. There will always be some people for something hyper-specific and niche, right? We've been shown that time and time again with games like Tibia that refuse to die. That's kept alive by, like, a fucking core of, like, 100 people. But 100 players on Classic MapleStory would not be a success, you know what I mean? When there's thousands on the regular game, you know what I mean? That's why I say you have to compare it to itself. And again, you obviously can't compare Classic directly to Modern or Retail, because they're two different games. I mean, they are the same core game, but they're two different games, right? It just depends. Like, really, all of this is just baseless conjecture and pointless debate over nothing. We need to just know what's going to happen. But I do hope that Classic gets more support than just faithful recreation to old school MapleStory. But I think a lot of people, and if you look at the subreddit specifically, I think somebody made a comment that I completely agreed with, where it's like, look at how divisive people are within the Classic sphere already. Like, you have some people that are super excited for Classic to be one-to-one recreation, no QOL changes. Some people are upset about down jumping. Some people want to keep HP washing for some god-awful reason. Some people want to keep in the gachapon system. Some people want to keep in, like, the NX cards, the 2x drop in XP. And it's like, I get it, but I also think that goes to show you how divisive Classic can be without Classic even existing, right? And that's kind of what I mean when I say they really need to, they being Nexon and the team who's working on Classic MapleStory, really needs to set some ground rules as to what the game vision, like what is their vision for the game. I know they say in the video, faithful recreation, but what does that mean? Expand. I don't know. I hope for the best, and I hope it's what you guys all end up wanting, the people who really want Classic. It's just, I know it's not for me, because I've already done it in the past, and I don't feel the need to relive it. Like, I have no desire to go back in time to play Third Job Bandit again, or Third Job Bowmaster, or Third Job Ice Lightning Mage. I just don't have that desire, you know what I mean? Especially since I've already done one of those classes back then. I've seen all of the content the game had to offer back then. I've cleared Zakum many times. I never did Horntail when it was current. I never did Pink Bean or anything, but I have no desire to. If I wanted to go run Horntail or Pink Bean, I could click Pink Bean. I could click Horntail. I'm good, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. I just don't think there's enough in it for me personally. And all of the childhood wonder that I think people get caught up in, which, don't get me wrong, I think is fire, but I just don't think I will have that same sort of fun that I once had back then. Because I'm just not the same person I was back then. You know what I mean? I'm not the same person I was when I was 10 or 11 or 12 or 13. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know? I'm 30. I'm Unk, bro. I'm Unk. Unk is 30. And it's like, I have grown as a person. I enjoy different things. I have different priorities in my life. You know what I mean? Again, this is all just like a personal thing. I'm talking about me personally right now. I'm not talking about what I think should happen or anything. I'm just talking about me personally. Don't get it twisted. But I do think I absolutely will hop on Classic when it first comes out, because like I said, there's no denying that the initial launch of games is probably the most fun you'll ever have playing a video game. Like, the most recent video game launch that I was a part of was Lost Ark, and that shit, when a game first comes out, it's unlike anything else. So if you've never been a part of, like, a video game launch, especially an MMO launch, and you're gonna be around for Classic, I highly suggest you jump in. Even if you're not like super gung-ho on Classic, there's just something about a new game coming out, even if it's like a re-release of an old game, right? The experience is just magical. But long-term for me, I don't think I'll be playing it. I will absolutely be hopping on when it first comes out. I'll probably make a video or two of me just fucking around playing. I mean, if you're familiar with the channel, it'll be more of this shit, but I don't think anything, there is no long-term plans here, for sure. I do not have the, I don't want to put in the time to play the game in the ways that I would want to play the game. And the ways that I would want to play the game, the desire isn't really there because I've already done it before, right? That's sort of my mentality. Anyways, if you, for some reason, stuck around for the yapping, shout out. I appreciate you. But I think that's about it. I've said everything there is to say in my mind, both subjectively and my opinion-based stuff. I mean, everything's an opinion-based stuff, but I mean, like, my personal, like, plans or whatever. Anyways, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thanks for hanging out, as always. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Whether that be next week or tomorrow for my Lost Ark Reddit video. But until then, I wish you all the best. Bye!